Hello, BookTube. This is Weekly Reads. My reading week has been a roller coaster, and I want to try something different. I normally do my weekly reads chronologically from the weekend up through Friday before I film weekly reads. But this week, I'm going to start with the lows. I'm going to start with my bail and then work my way up to what pleased me the most this reading week. So, starting off with the bail, I on Monday I started and bailed on A History of the World with the Women Put Back In by Kerstin and Daenschel, translated by Ruth, Ahmedzai, Kemp, and Jessica West. And this is technically a bail redemption rejection because I bought the book in, I'm thinking 2020. It might have been as early as sometime in 2019. I know this was one of the first books I bought from Book Depository. And I know in either late 2019 or early 2020, this book made the rounds of at least British BookTube and was highly esteemed. So I bought the book. I dipped into it and quickly bailed on it. And I kind of forgot why I did. But coming back to it for a bail redemption, I know why. And, well, there are two reasons. First, so this is basically a history of the world with a focus on women, although at a little more than 400 pages, it's not much of a history of the world. A history of the world needs to be much larger. But, so there's that. But one thing that really ticked me off when I read this book the first time, and definitely when I had another go at it, is that on the cover there are pictures of several women. There's 11. There are 6 on the front cover and 5 on the back. And these women have a little blurb at the beginning of or a few words said about them at the very beginning. Let me go find it. So this is the little passage for Harriet Tubman, and you will notice immediately what's wrong. Harriet Tubman, 19th century America, the runaway slave who wanted to stop people suffering like she had. Harriet Tubman escaped to Canada via the Underground Railroad, and then almost immediately turned around and began to work on it herself, becoming one of the most famous anti-abolitionists. So if that was missed, and the authors, the translators, the editors did not catch that simple mistake, I'm thinking, what else did they get wrong? Or what other mistakes are in this book? Compounding that is that this is a history intended for middle grade and young adult readers, although adults also have, it's also meant for adults. But the tone is one that I utterly loathe when it comes to middle grade and YA. It's this condescending, just tone. The tone is so, the narrative voice is so condescending, like it's talking down to its readers, that it infuriates me. It always has. And that's largely why I don't read, I very seldom read middle grade or YA, is because that tone's more than likely going to be present. So, yeah, so I just, I set it aside as about rejection, and I'm probably going to, at some point, pass it on. Maybe somebody else will enjoy it far more than I did. Well, that one's not saying much, is it? Because, yeah. Anyway, so that's going to go at some point. So moving on to the next rung up the ladder, I decided to read some poetry after I read or bailed on The History of the World with the Women Put Back In. And so I read 4 volumes of poetry from Tuesday to Thursday. I started with The Memory of Gills by Catherine Carter on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, I read The Swamp Monster at Home, also by Catherine Carter. And Larvae of the Nearest Stars, again by Catherine W. Carter. I was strongly tempted to reread like the entire body of work of poets that I had, and decided to start with Catherine Carter. And then on yesterday, I read Hosts and Guests by Nate Klug. And as I read these 4 collections, which I have enjoyed, I've read Larvae of the Nearest Stars. This is my 4th reading of that collection, I think. I've read, this is my 3rd reading of Hosts and Guests, and my 2nd reading of both Memory of Gills and Swamp Monster at Home. And on these rereadings, I noticed I'm not as interested in poetry as I was even a few months ago. And so while they're still pretty strong collections, and I still largely enjoy them, I think, yeah, I'm seeing lately that my interest in poetry and really classics, canonical, modern, and contemporary fiction, poetry, and drama as a whole section of my library is really starting to fade lately. I had this I had a yen, I think, a few months ago to collect some, and it's faded out. So I don't know what that means, but I think in the coming weeks, I'm going to have to work on or give a hard look to my classics, canonical, modern, contemporary fiction, poetry, and drama shelf bookcase and decide who I want to keep and who I want to go. So there's that. Now, moving up one more rung on the ladder. I read over the weekend all of Saturday and a part of Sunday, The Last Irish Question. Will 6 into 26 Ever Go by Glenn Patterson. So this is a book that looks at contemporary Irish history and asks the question, will Ireland ever unify? And what will that Ireland look like? And over the course of a year, the book is organized via Celtic festival days. Patterson's answer is not a very encouraging one. There is a lot beneath the surface that argues that while Irish unification might be inevitable, it's not going to be uncontested, and there's a lot beneath the surface that paints a worrying picture overall, I would think. Um, so I liked the last Irish question. I didn't love it. I thought the book's a bit scattered at points, and um, just there's a bit of an unorganized quality to it that I thought could have been better organized. So anyway, that's it. So what did I love this reading week? Well, manga. I read 4 volumes of My Hero Academia by Kohei Horikoshi. I read volumes 2 and 3 on Sunday after I finished the last Irish question. And then I read volumes 4 and 5 earlier this afternoon. And oh, I love these 4 volumes. They were amazing. It was a wonderful experience reading these 4 volumes. So My Hero Academia, I'm gonna go with this one here, is a manga series inspired by American superhero comics. In this world, a significant majority, I think, of the population have superpowers called quirks. Some of these powered individuals have become superheroes, and there is no more prestigious school in Japan than UA, which is designed to train the next generation of heroes. Izuku Midoriya was born quirkless, without superpowers, but he admires and is obsessed with superheroes and superhero lore. And one day he meets his idol, the superhero All Might, the greatest superhero in Japan. And Midoriya Izuku inspires All Might on several occasions, and this inspires All Might to grant Izuku his power. All Might has a quirk called One for All, which can be passed down. And so All Might, after training Izuku for several months, passes down his quirk, giving Izuku superpowers. He then joins UA as a student alongside his one-time friend and now bully Bakugo. So that's largely what the story of Volume 1. So Volume 2 starts with a training arc. The class is split up into groups of 4 students. 2 of those students are heroes and 2 are villains. And it's basically a exercise in trying to infiltrate and protect and capture. And Izuku's team up is with a young woman named Uraraka, I think that's how to pronounce her name, against Bakugo and Iida. And that fight is just amazing. I really love how Izuku, kind of how he strategizes. He doesn't quite have a full handle on One for All, so he largely uses strategies to try to win his fights. And it's a brilliant kind of fight. And Iida and Bakugo were hilarious in that. And then the next arc is one where they go to a rescue training when the facility is attacked by villains. And oh, it's a great one. The homeroom teacher, Aizawa, has a great showing. Izuku shows off pretty well. Bakugo and Kirishima, another student, have some awesome scenes. Shoto Todoroki has some great scenes. It's a really wonderful arc, and introduces the villains, and that was interesting. And then the rest of volume 3, and then all of volumes 4 and 5 are a tournament arc, a sports festival arc, and that was brilliant. It showcases Midoriya's or Izuku's strategic mind. It really does wonderful work with Bakugo, he's just nuts, and Shota, and it was brilliant. I particularly like the fights during the final tournament part. It was really well done. I love these 4 volumes, and I can't wait to get to more My Hero Academia. I have about 211 in sequence, and then 29, and I'm hoping to pick up some more soon. I think I'm definitely going to buy more volumes in the coming months, because I think I have like one work of history on pre-order in April, so I might just buy all manga in April and see how that goes. So anyway, my reading week for this coming, my reading plans for this coming reading week. I was gifted, I got a mail package from Steve Donahue. And so I'm going to read at least one of the 2 books that he sent me, if not both of them, over the course of this reading week. So I'm going to, for sure, over the course of the weekend, read The Complete Tutankhamun by Nicholas Reeves. This is a massive book that looks at the tomb of Tutankhamun, and it's gloriously illustrated. I can't wait to get to. Wonderful. And also, The Story of Tutankhamun, An Intimate Life of the Boy Who Became King by Garry J. Shaw, which is a new slam biography of Tutankhamun. And I'm still wanting to get to At Swim 2 Boys by Jamie O'Neill, which is an Irish gay novel set in like the 1916, and it came out in the early 2000s. Because I've had this book for like 15 years, so I really need to get to it. And if anything else changes, I'll probably read some more manga. I do have a few volumes of My Hero Academia to read. There's also Naruto and some more volumes of Jujutsu Kaisen, and others. So, yeah. So anyway, no matter what I read, I'll obviously report back next weekly reads. I'm sorry, I'm a bit scattershot today. But anyway, so that's largely it for reading for weekly reads. My plans for next week. I would like to do a sort of a reflection on my 2023 library tour and my thoughts about my library going forward. I tried to make that video earlier today, but it didn't quite work, so I don't know if I'm going to do it or not. Of course, there are always book tags. There's a few that I would like to do, although there was one I tried to do that didn't quite work out, so I don't think I'm actually going to continue with it. And maybe try to do some more discussion videos. I also want to go ahead and film an unhaul video I'm currently working on putting together at least one donation box for local friends at the library book sale. And I think I'm going to go ahead and film the unhaul video, but I won't upload it until I've actually donated that box of books. And I think that's how I'll do it with another box if I decide to do a second box of books. So in BookTube, that's all I got for this week. So thank you. Have a great rest of your evening and weekend, and I will see you again on hopefully Monday. So until then, BookTube, thank you. Have a great evening and weekend, and until next time, stay safe.